Today we're going to look at a couple of chord substitutions we can use over a very common chord progression. This is a great way to break out of certain tendencies or habits you may have and provide a new perspective for playing over chord changes. So for this, we're going to use a minor chord progression. This is basically the beginning of a minor blues. And we're in the key of D minor, and the chords we're going to be using are D minor and G minor. And we're going to look at two chord substitutions we can use over each one of these chords. So the first chord substitution we're going to use over these minor chords is to play the relative major chord. Right? Every minor chord has a relative major, and every major chord has a relative minor. For D minor, the relative major is F major. All that means is that D natural minor and F major share the exact same notes. And we can do the same thing with our G minor by going up and playing out of B flat major. And I like to use these major 7 chord voicings. We can use the arpeggios for these major 7 chords to overlay the sound of this relative major chord substitution over the minor progression. Here's an example along to the backing track. So the next thing we can do is use secondary dominant chords to transition from one chord to the next. So going from D minor to G minor, we can add a D7 sound in there to transition to that G minor. And then we can use an A7 to transition back to D minor. Basically what we're doing here is using the dominant 5 chords of the chord we're heading to. So we're subbing in that dominant chord to transition to G minor, and then subbing in an A7, the dominant 5 chord of D, to get back to our D minor. So now that we have these 2 chord substitutions, we can connect them together, moving from the major 7 arpeggio over the minor chord, and then to the secondary dominant chord as we transition to the next chord in the progression. So for D minor, we would play our F major 7, and then find a way to transition to the D7, and then resolve to a chord tone of our G minor. And then over G minor we could use B flat major to A7, and then resolve to D minor. So once we get comfortable with these basic arpeggio shapes, we can start adding some more colorful notes from the harmonic minor scale. Going from D minor to G minor, and subbing in that D7 chord, we could use the G harmonic minor scale. And use that to build tension to then transition to the G minor chord. And for this A7 secondary dominant chord heading to D minor, we could use the D harmonic minor scale. So here's 3 lick examples over the backing track to get you started combining these different sounds together. And as always, the tabs for these examples are going to be available over on my Patreon site. Alright, hopefully this lesson gives you some new food for thought. Head over to the Patreon site for the tabs and this backing track. All the links are down in the description. I've got all the links to all my courses down there as well. Until next time, happy practicing and take care.